Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to the first part of illustration and rendering, and I'm going to go through today and help you set up your first template for drawing a fashion croquis. To give you a little bit of background on the croquis itself, croquis in French stands for sketch. So what we are going to actually do today is design or draw the 9 heads reference in regards to a template on how the mathematical measurements align in regards to how we draw a fashion croquis. So to give you a little bit of a background, a regular human body actually, if you were to take 1 inch by 1 inch squares and go all the way down the ruler, a regular human body would actually go to about 8 inches or 8 heads tall. The fashion croquis goes anywhere from 9 inches to 12 inches. So it's a much more elongated, elaborated portion of each part of the body and how we draw them. So the fashion croquis is actually an exaggerated sketch of the human form. There is mathematical proportions that will help us get to a final drawing or a final sketch, so we want to make sure that we're always referencing the numbers when we are trying to draw these in the beginning, because it will help us dramatically. If you just try to draw a fashion croquis from your brain, you actually probably will draw more towards a human body and you will get incredibly frustrated. So please, that's why we're going to start out here, and we're actually going to make a template, and you will use this template throughout the course until you get to a spot you don't need it anymore. So what we're going to do first is that we're going to go in the middle of the page here. We are going to draw a straight line down, okay, from 0, and we will go all the way down to 9 inches. We're going to mark all of these. We will mark them by numbers: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now what we're actually going to also do is we are going to draw straight lines here to give us a little bit of a help. Doesn't matter how wide they are. Oops. Okay. And then once we get all of those measured and aligned, we're actually going to mark where all the parts of the human body align within this numbered grid. So from 0 to 1, we actually have where the head is. Go ahead and mark that down. Okay. At about 1.5, which is roughly about right here, this is where the shoulders are. At number 2, okay, these are where the armholes or armpit is going to be. Okay, at 2.25-ish, roughly about right in here, this is where the bust is. At number 3, we have the waist plus usually where our elbows are. Number 4 is going to be roughly the hip area plus wrists. At 4.25 or maybe a little bit up, that's where the crotch is going to be. Between 6 and 6 1/4 is where the knees are. And then number 9, from 9 and 9 1/4 is where the ankles are going to be. Now every person is going to draw these just a little bit differently. They may elongate the legs a little bit more by bringing down the knees, but if you're going to bring down where the thigh is down to the knees to a lower knee, you're actually going to have to be a little bit longer here all the way down to the ankles where the calf is. Okay? Just make sure wherever you start from the crotch down to the ankles, okay, that within proportion, whatever the measurement is from the crotch to the knees, if you make it a little bit longer, always make a little bit longer down to the ankles. Okay? Now, we have this template here. Okay? I want you guys to go ahead and stop. This is what you will use throughout the semester. You will use this as reference. Okay? Now, what I would also like to let you guys know, there's two things in regards to lines that will help you draw your croquis throughout the part of the semester. We'll go over it once we actually get a croquis done. But one is called the balance line, okay, and the other one is called the center front, which follows the center front of the body in whatever pose our model is going to be at. Okay, so we will actually go ahead and mark here. Balance line, center front. So these two things right up here will be used as a reminder. Whenever you are looking at your croquis that you have sketched, okay, always go back to what the balance line looks like and also what the center front of the pose is. Okay, where I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of tracing paper here. Okay, or yeah, let's do tracing paper. And we can place our tracing paper right over our little helpful guide here. Okay, I'm going to transition and go back into a pencil. Let's grab a pencil here. I use a Pentel 0.5. I also use a Pentel 0.3 and also a 0.7 for my mechanical pencils. They're a little bit more expensive, but they'll last you a lifetime if you take care of them. And I also just like the feel of these pencils. You can use graphite pencils. You can use like these. Okay, these are super duper cheap. They're just sketch pencils, but I personally like the feel of an architectural mechanical pencil myself. Okay, and they will honestly last forever. I've had these for years. Okay, so we're going to go back over to a 0.5. A 0.3 lead, I can do a little bit more explanation here. If you guys can see here, the 0.3 right here, okay, is very thin, very hard. The 0.5 is a little bit larger and a little bit softer, and the 0.7 is a much softer, much larger lead that comes out of the pencil when you put it down on a piece of paper. So I like a middle in between for kind of doing sketch work. The 0.3, the much smaller pencil, is used for high detail work or when I need to use detail or make detail marks. So we're going to start here, okay? When we go through and we actually draw our first croquis, we're going to do it straight on. It's the easiest one, and it will give an idea of how these need to look and also the proportional elements of where things connect within the human body and the anatomy within a human itself. All right, we're going to start with the head. The head of what we draw, okay, can actually be started by an oval, okay? And it's not a circle, it's an oval. Okay, with a little bit of a curve down here at the bottom for the chin. So where I usually start is I come up here a little bit flat, come down, come back up, and attach to the top. That's the head. Okay, from 0 to 1, that is where the head is at. Now, from the head to the shoulders, okay, that's where the neck is going to be. So we will come down and we will mark right here. And right there. Okay, where the shoulders are. Okay, one thing that will also possibly help you, you can use your wooden mannequins, okay, and these will also help you draw proportionally what a croquis will look like. You may need to elongate the bottom part of the torso, but the way the wooden mannequins are put together, that can help you figure out where the joints and where the muscles need to go, especially in regards to shapes in drawing what your croquis needs to look like. Okay, so for the shoulders, the width of the shoulders themselves is actually a 1.5 width. Okay, so if we take our ruler here, and you can take 1.5, which is 0.75, we can come right here and we can make 2 marks. 1.5, 1.5. Okay, that's the actual width of the shoulders that we want to make. So we can make 2 circles here. Okay, now with those 2 circles, we can draw it down. We can bring it down, again, to right there. We can draw in and connect where the shoulders are. Okay, we have the armpits. The armpits come on the inside of where the shoulder is. Okay, where you put these little circles, that is where the armpit or the armhole aligns up. Okay, and the bust will start from there. Okay, so we will come here and we will make our bust. So we have our bust. Okay, the waist. The waist is then 1 head wide. So we will come to a half. We can actually make some marks to give us a little bit of a helpful hint at 1 inch. And we can bring this in a little bit to right there. We can bring this down and around and down to right there. Okay. Now, from the hips, okay, the hips width, okay, is going to be roughly 1.5 to follow along with the shoulders. Okay, so we will go to 75 again. We will go to 1.5. And we can come out. Now, one thing that you want to put down here, okay, is the ilium. Now, the ilium is at the top of the pelvis, okay, right in between where the hips and your waist is. Okay, it's a little bump, and we want to make sure that we add these. So what we're going to do is that we're going to add these little marks here. Okay, and then we will come out to where the hips are. There we go. The crotch, we will add in a mark right here for. Okay. Now, the knees, okay, a little bit farther off and a little bit farther away. Okay, the knees are anywhere between 1/4 of a head to 1/2 a head. I probably might like mine around 1/4, and I make mine with little circles. So a little circle here. A little circle here. We want it to go away and leave a little bit of a gap here in the middle. Okay. So we will then bring down the thigh with one nice pencil stroke. We will continue this pencil stroke down here. We can then round out our knee to help us right now. So let's come down here. We will bring this one down and around. We will round out our knee. Okay. Now from the ankles, okay, we'll actually draw a little bit of a circle down here, a little bit of a circle down here, not in the middle again. Okay. We will actually come out down to 7 and then continue it down. We will come a little bit in and then down. We will come out for the calf muscle and down. We will then also come a little bit out and down for that one. Okay, Down around where our ankles are, we can add in some little notches here for the ankle bones, and then we will draw a flipper foot. These are used all the time within fashion. You don't have to draw toes. They look really weird. Okay. Now here, once again, we have our elbows. We'll draw a circle and a circle. Down here, we will draw our wrist. In our wrist, we will continue down right here, and we will have a little bit of a bevel for the arm. We will come down right here, and we will also come down to right there. We will have a little bit of a bevel for the forearm and come down. A little bit of a bevel, forearm to come down. We will also draw little flipper hands. Okay, here's the thumb once again. We'll maybe finish it off just like that. We can finish with where the panty line would be. We can add in where the belly button is, and then also the rib cage. About right there. We can add dotted lines for our dressmaker forms. And then this one to come up. We can add little lines if we want to where the eyes would be, and then also where the mouth would be. So that will give us a very good starting point for what our croquis needs to look like. This is a straight-on standing croquis that would work for drawing fashion if you didn't want to put any sort of movement in regards to your merchandise or your fashion or within the croquis itself. Okay, now when it comes to the balance line, I'm going to grab over here one thing. The balance line in the center front, okay, in regards to any pose that you do. Okay, the balance line will start here, right here at the sternum, and go all the way down to where the weighted foot is. Okay, wherever the weight is on the croquis or the pose, that is where the balance line should end up. So if you're looking at your croquis and you see something completely weird or messed up, always draw a balance line. Start at the sternum, draw a straight line down, and see where the weighted leg is. If it is not close to the balance line, something needs to be adjusted. Usually the weighted foot needs to be drawn closer towards the balance line if it's like way over here. Now the center front, okay, the center front, the S curve, will actually follow the pose of the center front of the body. If the croquis or the person or the pose is turned, like let's say on a 3/4, okay, draw a line down where the actual center front of the body is. If we look here real quick, okay, this center front, right, follows down right here. That's the center front. Here's the center front, pretty close down the center of the body again. But see, check this out. Look at this one. This one's turned sideways. It actually follows the center front of her body. So when you put this pose onto a croquis or onto your measurements, the croquis has to follow this. It is not following center front. Okay, it has to turn sideways, and then you actually have to draw in little marks here to make this body turn sideways, okay, or 3/4. All right, that should get us a pretty good starting point in regards to what the croquis is and the measurements on how you need to draw your fashion croquis.